Well, AK, you obviously saw Sean Jenkins go from super young guy to somewhat experienced by the end of last year. How have you seen him mature? Where do you think he can take the next step this year?
So far this year, and it certainly has been a maturity from a physical standpoint. Like, he looks like a different kid out there right now. Put on some good strength, weight, ball's jumping out of his hand. He's still 18 years old, which is crazy for us to sit here and talk about it with as much experience as he had last year, throwing 70 innings for us and really battling through it. So in that situation, it gives you hope that the experience that he had last year, when he probably wasn't at his best production level, is just going to help him throughout the course of this year. So the stuff has certainly ticked up. He's physically mature. He's still 18 and still learning how to be a winning pitcher at this level every day. And as they have talked about already, the depth, the talent, it certainly has challenged him even throughout the fall and early spring. But usually, what we're seeing with Sean is it's not usually that he's going to just sit out there and get beat around or anything. I mean, the kid's up to 90, 98 miles an hour right now. And so he's throwing the dog out the ball. It's just more about him being a winning pitcher, going and executing his plan and giving our team the chance to win.
Coach, early on, what has Jake Agnos brought just to the program, the pitchers, the culture that we hear a lot about?
Jake has been awesome, and I love having him around because he brings just a wealth of knowledge and experience in a lot of different avenues, right? Obviously, he's been super successful, was a high draft here, and then had to go through all the injury issues. That is so helpful for our guys that maybe have little nagging injuries or are going through things, because he can be just a guy that they can talk to and give perspective to, and just to push them in the right direction. But he's with me every single day. He's my right-hand man, and for me, just having another guy that's with me all the time and somebody that I can bounce ideas off of, and that will also bring ideas to me, right? I think that it's invaluable, right? And so very thankful to have him with us every day. The guys love him, as you can imagine, with as energetic as he is and as funny as he is and passionate and all the things that you want in a young coach, right? So love having him around. He's definitely helped us get better.
Coach over here.
Coach, you have a few guys coming off of injuries. Last year you handled the Jake Hunter situation really well. I'm sure there's other guys I can't remember that you've handled that with really well. How do you build off of what you did with a guy like Jake and implement that with guys like Ryan or Brett?
I think it's by kind of tempering your expectations initially, right? Is that, hey, it's going to take time. Ryan and Tolik and those guys that haven't seen live competition in a long time, right? So there's going to be ups and downs, just like there were with Jake. But what you're always going back on is the fact that, number one, they have experience and they're talented, and as they've said, they're wonderful people who are super coachable and are going to understand the process as they go. So it's just constant communication, but not out of the block saying, hey, you're going to go throw 3 times this weekend or 3 times in a week, and you need to be at your best, right? It's a progression. We need you to be better at the end of the year than you are at the beginning. And I think once you have that understanding that it's an everyday process, man. It's an everyday process. When you wake up today, we need to be better than we were yesterday, right? And so with that, that's how we take any injuries, guys coming back, because there's ups and downs to protocols, right? There's ups and downs to how they feel, and luckily those guys are feeling better and doing better, but it's a day-by-day process, certainly.
Coach, this is a two-parter. First, I know you're very close with the pitchers. Can you talk about your relationship with them and how important that is, obviously, to perform on game day? And the second one is about to play this level, you have to have, obviously, multiple pitches that you're good at. How hard is that from a player development standpoint to get a guy to be comfortable pitching multiple pitches to be successful at this level?
Yeah, the relationship piece of it is really the most important part of my job, right? And it starts in recruiting, as Coach Palumbo said. You're trying to recruit the right kids, but for me, I'm trying to recruit somebody that I want to be around every single day, right? So the personality matters, the way they go about their work. They have to be like-minded in some ways. It doesn't mean they have to be all exactly the same, but they need to be like-minded to what our staff is and what we value, right? And then on top of that, of course, there's going to be this is kind of the second part of it. There's got to be a skill set that you desire as a pitching coach or as a coaching staff. So the relational aspect is something that you're working on every single day, every day, right? And this year, especially more so than ever, is how individual can we get with each guy, right? Like, Can we go into practice and throw with 2, 3, 4 guys at a time and just spend the afternoon with, just less people, right? Because when there's 20 guys out there, they're all in line, they're all working on certain things, man, you're gonna miss some things. It is what it is, But, our goal, as me and Jake's goal, is to spend as much individual time with them, get to know them, what they're about, and just have some fun on a daily basis, right? Make sure you're engaging with everybody every single day. When you do that, when they step on the field, they know that, hey man, their coaches are with them in the fight. And that's really important. And ultimately, Coach talked about the pro guys who come back. That's why they're back, right? And it's an awesome place to come and train. It's an awesome town to live in, but it's because of the relationships that they build here with their coaches and also with the teammates. And then the second piece of that is, I think, especially when you recruit high school players, 95% of them are going to come in and they will pretty much have utilized their fastball the majority of their high school career, right? And so our goal with them when they get here is to understand, hey, this is what your pitch mix is. This is kind of what we think it needs to be by the time you're facing hitters in the spring. Now, let's make these adjustments early on in the process. Let's get the arsenal where we want it to be, and then let's force you to use these pitches in the fall and the early spring, right? The ability to pitch backwards is huge in this game. With the way things are, some more offensive time. It doesn't mean you're only hunting swing and miss, but you got to be able to get swing and miss in this league if you want to be good, right? And to pitch the levels that you want to, right? And that's what we're trying to do. Obviously, we're trying to win a national championship, be the best pitching staff in the country. So we've got to put these guys in situations that maybe are not as comfortable for them. And that you'll see it. Some of our young arms, such as Colby Weber, are guys that are up to 97 miles an hour, but they throw their fastball less than 50% of the time. And so that's a thing that we're always trying to develop with our guys. And when you watch Trey pitch in the big leagues, he's throwing a splitter and a slider probably 70% of the time right now. It's just the way the game is kind of evolutionized.
Coach Becker. Coach, you mentioned Trey, but what was it like when you were watching him do those just wonderful things in the playoffs or World Series, and like the pregame show, and then mentioning Coach Godwin, mentioning yourself, and just what was all that, and how does that help recruiting?
Well, watching him pitch, I was nervous as all get out, to be honest with you. And Trey, it was unbelievable, right? Just the experience of watching him, sitting on the couch late at night. I don't usually stay up that late, right? But they're playing on the West Coast, and he's pitching until midnight. So it was a really cool experience, and even having my 4-year-old son sit there and watch him with me was really neat. From the standpoint of recruiting, I think it's been huge. And it's not just started with Trey. You talk about Gavin, you talk about so many guys that are succeeding in professional baseball, but having him do that on that stage, there's just more people reaching out, right? There's more people reaching out. There's more players that are, emailing, calling, texting, things of that nature. There's more social media clout, so to speak. And so it certainly has, from a marketing standpoint, been really good for our program, right? But it's nothing that, we weren't expecting from Trey. And so I think it's all been good things. It's been very unique, but an exciting time, certainly.
Norby was great last year, but what do you think he can improve upon going into this season?
I think with Norby, this whole year so far has been more about physically getting ready, right? Physically, what do we need to do to put your body in the best state it can possibly be in to take on the workload that you're going to take on this year, right? I think, as with any guy that takes the ball on a Friday night, yes, physically you need to be at your best, but mentally, man, that can be taxing as well. And you see with Trey, with Norby, with all these guys, kind of in the middle of the year, they have maybe a 2 starts kind of lull, where it's not, what the product that they should be at, right? And so understanding that you need to be at your best every time you take the ball, right? Mentally, you can't get fatigued. You've got to be locked in. And his pitch mix and everything he's doing right now is as good as it's ever been. It is really, really good. And he's already a special arm in general. I just think when you take the ball on a Friday night and, deep into the season and things like that, you kind of got to be a different dog, man. You got to have a little bit of a different mentality. And so understanding that it doesn't matter if you decide to take the ball on a Friday night, physically, if you're feeling great, if you're not, like it's your job to go out there and give our team a chance to win. Norby knows that. He understands that the biggest piece is if he is competing the way that he can, then he's going to be successful. So I think that's kind of the things that we've talked about, but physically he's done a really good job. He's done a really good job to get his body into good shape.
You just kind of talked about it, but to be that Friday night starter, it was an adjustment last year. Now that he's more used to it this year, what is there to learn from that experience, and what is the familiarity kind of bring him?
I think you just utilize the experience, right? Understand what it's like, and like he should also be excited. I mean, he's a Team USA guy, right? He's a Team USA guy. He's gotten plenty of publicity. He knows he's really good. So you got to go out there and prove it every single time that you get the ball, right? And so I think, as with anything, when you're a year older and you've worked hard and you've kind of addressed the things that you need to address, the experience will take care of itself as long as you're going out there to win a game. And so that's the thing that you'll battle against the most, and you see it across the country, is that not only is Norby, obviously our most experienced starter, he's a draft prospect. He's got all these different expectations. Well, it doesn't matter. If you're going out there to help our team win a game, right, and to put your best foot forward, then those things will take care of themselves. And so I just think that's how he can best utilize his experience for sure.
So Alex Boucher is a new guy in your room this year, and just what have you seen from him so far, and what do you think his potential is as he gets used to being a pitcher?
Yeah, the thing that he does, he innately has the ability to spin the baseball. And what I mean by that is like his breaking stuff is good, right? And so within that, there's always a role for that. I think when you haven't pitched since high school, there's always things that you're trying to get up to speed with. And then when you're talking about he's still a position player and he's on the infield and he's hitting BP, it's a challenge, but he's handled it extremely well. And he's a joy to be around every day. He wants to get better. He wants to become as good as he possibly can on the mound and at the plate and all the things. And I think really the two have helped each other. Like I see the at-bats that he takes and scrimmages and things of that nature, and he's improved, and I think it's just because he's more free. It's less time to sit there and think about your at-bats and your BPs that day and how you were playing at shortstop and all these different things. But I think the thing about him is that he'll carve himself out a role because he's a guy that, like Coach said, he just wants to win. He wants to put his best foot forward, and it's been really enjoyable to work with him.
I know we've talked about, Norby and Jenkins a little bit, but what does the competition look like to be a starter behind those guys on your staff right now?
Yeah, Coach talked about it, but there's really 8 guys that are competing for what will be 4 to 5 starting roles depending on the week. And so he mentioned a lot of the names, and all those guys have really, honestly, they pitched really well this fall and early spring. We're kind of getting back into it a little bit, so we haven't built up to where it's actually a starter role yet. But they all bring different dynamics. And so for us, it's about putting the puzzle pieces together and saying, well, this is who we like to start because this may bolster our bullpen a little bit better, right? And so Coach talked about it, but you got Norby, you got Antolik, you got Towers, you've got Frank Saccone, you got Van Kempen, you got Colby Weber, you got Nick Moran, and really any of them could be in there. And I mean that. It's not just sitting here saying it. I don't really know who's gonna start that first weekend because 1 weekend you'll go into it. I'm like, I really like this guy. Well, then this guy pitches extremely well. So it's really good competition, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Going off that, Coach, would you like to have a specific midweek starter, or is it just kind of a
I think it'd be
season
great.
thing? I mean, it just feels like I get that question the most, and is it more of an opportunity to get other guys work? How do you kind of see that potentially?
Yeah, I think it would be great. I think it'd be outstanding to do, but it just depends on what your bullpen and everything looks like from the starting situations. I mean, if you could have 4 named starters and then still have a bullpen that you love, then hey man, like that's ideal in a perfect world. I'd say we're probably closer to that than we've ever been, but again, we got to see how the pieces fall, because the biggest thing for us, the game in front of us, is the most important game. And when you play a schedule like we're going to play this year, right, that's exactly how you got to treat it, right? Because every game you're playing a quality opponent, and they all matter. And so, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, of course you would love that, and we'll see how it shakes out and go from there.
This will be the final question.
always ask you a catcher question. How's the relationship with the pitchers and catchers going with this current team, and how important is a catcher for a pitcher's success?
It's extremely important, and it's only getting more important. And what I mean by that is that TrackMan zones, the way it is now, zones are smaller. You got to have a guy back there that can defend, right? You got to have a guy back there that can win you strikes, that aren't going to lose you many. But they're doing a good job. They're doing a good job. I think Walker's been really good this spring since we've been back. Michael has certainly improved from last year and is an option for us. And he does a good job of receiving the ball, which is really important for all of us. But it's an ongoing thing. And what I've really liked in the spring is I've seen those guys really try to be in the weeds with the pitchers more so than even in the past. And it's something we're encouraging, but Walker going out of his way to just walk up to a pitcher, ask him how he's feeling, what he's working on, things of that nature. But the pitchers and the whole team, the whole defense is looking at the catcher, right? You need to have someone back there that's got some presence and someone that you believe in. That's just all it comes down to. So yeah, it's going good. It's extremely important. We need to continue to get better as we go because that's kind of where it happens, man. Like, if you want to be successful, you got to be good behind the plate. You got to be good on the mound. That's the reality of it.